get started on our social studies lesson, did anybody have any questions about the reading assignment that you all were working on? Yes, Samantha.
There's only 15 people.
I know. Hopefully we have a few more jump on. Was everybody able to finish that? Did everybody get their reading done?
I was in the middle of it but didn't get finished.
Okay, you can finish it after this. You don't have a social studies assignment, so you can work on that after this too. Yes,
What?
Isaac. Yes, Isaac.
I've done mine already.
Okay, good. And some people had a question about if it said you had an incorrect answer. If you had to type out your answer, or if you had multiple choices, then I have to go back in and put your grade in. So you might have a lower grade right now, but it'll go up after I go and grade it myself. Okay. Roy, what was your question?
Did anything new happen to them early? I mean, like, we didn't know whether or not, but...
No, I haven't said anything yet.
Okay.
Okay. Mackenzie, what was your question?
I was just trying to see how to raise the hand thing because I didn't know how to do it.
Okay. Mallory, what was your question?
It's snowing. I just went outside to get my cat, and it's snowing.
It is. Actually, I am at school right now, and I have to go home after this meeting and do the rest of them from my house. But hopefully I make it home before it gets too snowy out there. Braylon, what was your question?
I forgot.
Okay, if you think of it, just raise your hand. Bailey?
Do you think I should probably get my cats in from outside since it's snowing?
Not right this second, but if your parents say that that is okay, then yes, I would say that was fine. Noelia, what about you?
Miss Day, it isn't snowing at my house. It's going to be snowing in my house. It's all snow.
Wow. Okay, everybody make sure you're back on mute. Braylon, did you remember your question?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Well, does that test count as spelling?
No. If we don't have school tomorrow, I'll talk with Miss Thompson, but we'll probably just say that we'll do the same spelling words next week, too.
No, I mean like on not the spelling test. Like the test, like this test, the girls' brave book test.
Like, am I going to count it as a grade? Yes. But like I said, if you had a lower score, you might not have as low of a score as you think you do. I have to go back in and look at them and grade them.
Can I tell you what person I did?
What did you do?
I did the girl that had one arm got bitten off by a tiger shark.
Mm-hmm. There's a really good movie about her. Her name's Bethany. It's
on.
on.
I saw it.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
It's really good, but sad.
It is sad. All right. Everybody put your hands down for now, and we're going to get started with social studies. So we watched half of our video about Jamestown yesterday. So we are going to finish watching our video about Jamestown today. I'm going to share my screen with you, and we're going to finish watching that video, and then we will talk about it after it's finished. So make sure that you are watching and listening, and be thinking about how Jamestown settlers are struggling. What are the challenges they are facing in their new home?
And we're back. The man of the hour was Captain John Smith, who'd established trade relations with the Powhatans. Smith's talent as a leader got him elected president of the governing council. He immediately laid down the law. He that will not work shall not eat. So after a year of scraping by, the settlers finally focused all their effort on farming, which it's kind of hard to believe took them that long. But luck was against them. The area was having its worst drought in memory. Their crops failed just as hundreds of new settlers were arriving. The English began demanding food from their neighbors, sometimes violently. Johann Seneca had had enough. His warriors surrounded Jamestown's walls, trapping everyone inside. The settlers called that winter the starving time. They ate snakes, rats, horses, leather, sometimes even their own dead. For the second time in 2 years, the colony lost most of its people to disease and hunger. Nope, Smith escaped that particular episode. He'd been seriously injured in a gunpowder explosion and had to ship back to England. He never returned. The Virginia Company kept Jamestown limping along. Every now and then they would send more people and supplies. New settlements were established on better land, but still no gold was found, and the company was close to going broke. Meanwhile, hostilities between the settlers and the Powhatan continued. The English burned down villages, slaughtered families, and seized land. The Powhatan responded in kind, with raids on the settlers. The English dealt a major blow when they kidnapped Pocahontas in 1613. After a year of imprisonment, she married a settler named John Rolfe. It's likely she was trying to help bring an end to the war. And that's just what happened. A peace was agreed upon later that year. And a few years later, the settlers finally did strike gold, in a sense. John Rolfe had begun growing tobacco. Turns out, Virginia's warm climate was ideal for it. Soon, they were exporting huge amounts back to Europe. The colony quickly shifted from survival mode to developing a society. Women were recruited to sail to Virginia and start families. A local legislature, the House of Burgesses, was formed. It was based on England's Parliament, with representatives elected by landowners. Their first order of business? Setting a price for tobacco. Less than a month later, the first shipment of enslaved Africans arrived in Jamestown. Tobacco planters quickly saw the potential of an unpaid workforce. Over time, big plantations came to rely entirely on slave labor. Right, the Virginia Company of London. They never did manage to turn a profit. They were so far in debt that even all that sweet tobacco cash couldn't save them. And then disaster struck their colony in Virginia. Powhatan warriors launched a surprise attack on every English village. Hundreds were killed in what came to be known as the Indian Massacre of 1622. The Confederacy's new chief, Opechancanough, had planned the attack. He'd seen the results of trying to negotiate with the English, an endless stream of settlers taking over Powhatan land to start tobacco plantations. He decided that the only way to stop them was force. Of course, by then it was too late. England had a foothold in America, and it wasn't going to give up now. King James revoked the old charter and put Virginia under direct royal control. That was the end of the Virginia Company of London, and the start of a new war that the Powhatan could not win. The company may have failed, but Jamestown was ultimately a success for England. For better and for worse, Jamestown's model was repeated across the colonies. European settlers were drawn to the New World by the lure of owning land, maybe striking it rich like John Rolfe, and the promise of self-rule, as every American colony set up a legislature like the House of Burgesses. It was the American dream before there was an America. Move along, boys. This is my claim. You're welcome.
All right. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and come back to you all. Okay. So there was a lot of information in that video. We talked about how Jamestown is the first successful English settlement because all of the settlements before that, either they don't know what happened to them or they failed because of the weather or where they started. But it wasn't easy to keep Jamestown going. Raise your hand if you can tell me what were some of the challenges that those settlers faced. Braylon, what was one challenge?
the tribe sneaked a sneak attack on them. Sneak attack on them.
They did.
And the crops kept dying because of major drought.
Yes. So they didn't have a lot of rain, so a lot of their crops didn't work, or didn't grow. And then they were at war with the Native Americans there, and that had a lot of challenges too. What was another problem, Mason?
They had to survive the winter.
Mm-hmm. And they had a lot of disease and things. Andrew?
They're deeply in debt.
Mm-hmm. So we talked about how at the Virginia Company, I went around to you all and I pretended to borrow money from you. So I said, like, Isaac, I'm going to borrow money from you, and Samantha, I'm going to borrow money from you, and Mackenzie, I'm going to borrow money from you. So all of those investors, they got a little bit of their money back at first, but as time went on, did they get as much money as they put into it? No, they didn't make all their money back, so they stopped giving them money. They said, I haven't even gotten back what I gave you the first time. And if shareholders or investors aren't making money, then they pull their money out and they say, I'm not giving any more. So that's what they did, and the Virginia Company eventually didn't exist anymore. But what was the starving time for Jamestown? Why was it called the starving time? What was happening there? Tyler, what was happening?
Because they had no food.
You're exactly right. They didn't have enough to eat. And when John Smith was there, he did a good job of making sure that everybody had enough to eat because he would trade with the Native Americans. But when John Smith left, the Native Americans didn't want to trade with them anymore because they trusted John Smith. They didn't trust the other settlers, because when he was gone, they started, taking their land and doing other things that they said they wouldn't do originally. But ultimately, Jamestown was a success, and they started spreading out. What crop did they say really saved Jamestown? How did they start making money? What crop was really popular? Connor, what crop? I think you're still muted, Connor. Still muted. Noemi, what crop helped them? Tobacco, yes. So actually, John Rolfe was the one. He brought over tobacco seeds, and he planted them just to see if it would work. And it really worked. Virginia and Kentucky, where we live too, is great for growing tobacco. And it really saved Jamestown, and it saved the colonies too, because they made so much money from selling tobacco. They sold it to the Native Americans, they sold it to England, they shipped it back over there, all kinds of people. So tobacco was really important to Jamestown. All right, did you have a question, Andrew?
Yes. We're getting ready to go, because we live an hour away.
Okay, that's fine. You can hop off if you need to.
Does he need to get back on?
I think with Miss Thompson and Mr. Thompson, for science, he'll get on at 12 with Mr. Thompson. And at 1:30, he will have math with Miss Thompson. Yep.
Okay. See you later.
Bye. Samantha, did you have a question?
Yeah. When are we going to leave for meat?
We only have a couple more minutes because I have to make it back home before it starts snowing too much, too. Braylon?
Can I turn my camera on?
Yes, you can. Since there's less of us here. Noelia?
What are we doing today?
For social studies? Yeah. You don't have to do, there's no assignment on Google Classroom. I'm not making you answer questions or type anything out today.
Okay.
Yeah, so this was it. We were just going to watch our video and talk about it and together. Mallory?
Yeah,